What's up, guys? This is Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our NCL Season 2 season recap. This is going to be a little bit fun because we're going to go over my thoughts on the NCL as a whole, as well as the season recap, and just sort of gauge how the league is going and my thoughts heading into Season 3, which is coming up in about a month. So, let's start off with the draft analysis like I normally do in my in my season recap videos. So first up, we went into the draft. I had third pick initially, and I didn't know what I wanted with third pick. I can say clearly that I probably should have kept that pick, but I did trade it to Nacho for 10th because I wanted the same spot closer to the wheel, like close to the wheel as I could get, but I didn't want it at the beginning, I wanted it at the end. So we did end up getting Sniperino'd on Landorus Therian one pick before us. It was the 9th overall pick, and I had 10th. Not that I regret that by any means, because I'm actually not a huge Lando fan after using it now, but we did grab Mew first round, Snow Cone, and Mew was a solid performer this season. I definitely appreciated Mew for all the aspects that it gave me. I'm a very creative team builder, and it's sort of like sparked my creativity a little bit, and we'll sort of talk about that when I talk about how the season went. The next round, we grabbed a really early Sylveon, which I thought was going to pay off, and I'll go over this when we go to the transactions, but we did end up dropping Sylveon like partway through the season, because it just really wasn't coming to many matches, because I had better mons to use, unfortunately. Alolan Ninetales round 3 I thought was probably grasping at straws when I had double fairy and I really had no utility on my team besides Mew, so I kind of regretted this, but Alolan Ninetales was a key part of the team this entire season, so definitely do not regret grabbing it that early because I probably sniped a few people on it. Melodic was 100% the MVP of the team. It was an award winner this season, so I definitely don't regret grabbing Melodic round 4. At this point, obviously, it's my first free pick. I did end up grabbing a lot of Tier 2 free picks and straying away from Tier 1. Mew was my only Tier 1 the entire season. Melodic was just an absolute monster this season. Kommo-o was, in my opinion, a fantastic threat to just have sitting in the back on the team, and despite not coming to very many games, ended up putting in a lot of work. Again, don't regret this. Solid Dragon type, solid Fighting type. So I was sort of rounding out some cores there. Then I grabbed Rotom-Heat, which I've drafted it too much at this point, honestly. I'm sort of like getting tired of using Rotom-Heat, and I'm just not really appreciating it for what it's for. At the point of the season, I definitely had not ruled it out. You know, okay, so that's maybe not what I'm trying to say. At the point when I was drafting it, it was like fresh again for me, but since then I've drafted it 2 more times, and I'm sort of not the biggest fan. Of it, just having used it like almost exclusively for, you know, when was this, May? So I don't know, 4 months of using Rotom-Heat sort of wears off on you. Alolan Sandslash was my steel type. Pretty bad steel type to have as your only steel type. Especially considering another mon that I'm going to pick up later, but I wasn't a huge fan of Alolan Sandslash. I sort of took it just for the hail, and I ended up taking it pretty early. I probably could have saved it a little bit later as well, but I was maybe a little bit scared that someone else was going for hail. I honestly can't remember. It was like 4 months ago. Superior was a monster this season, put on a lot of pressure, and I like Superior. I'm a big fan of Superior. Good mon. Alolan Raticate was almost complete garbage, but it had 2 really good matchups, and it came to both of them. One of the games, it actually did the exact thing that I wanted it to, and the other one, it sort of just like didn't, but probably would never draft it again. It's not really that great, but if you're looking for a Tier 5 Dark type, it's definitely the best one there. I do not agree that Mightyena is better than Alolan Raticate. I thought Alolan Raticate really fit the bill with what I wanted. I grabbed Mega Pinsir in round 10, which put on a lot of pressure and didn't really shine until the playoffs. People definitely over-prepped for Mega Pinsir, which led them to under-prep for things like Melodic, so I don't regret taking it by any means, but I could have had... the reason I sort of took it was as another setup mon behind Veil, because that was sort of like the theme I was going for, was setup behind Veil, but Mega Lopunny would have, like, exceeded my expectations on this team. I truly believe the Mega Lopunny was the right pick for the team, and I didn't go with that, unfortunately, so we kind of got a little bit cuckarooed there. Although, if I had taken Mega Lopunny, I mean, I probably should have taken a better ground immunity than Rotom-Heat then, if I was going that direction. Not that I had ground weaknesses, per se, but my only immunities were like Rotom-Heat and Mega Pinsir once it Mega Evolved. And then last but not least, we took the Barrel, which didn't come to any match, and we ended up dropping it for Mon later that I'll talk about there. I sort of finished the recap talking about us being the Season 2 champion, and we'll cover that a little bit later now that the championship match has actually been played. So next up on my list is to go over the transactions. So we're on the draft page here. Oh, so here you go. This is exactly what you can see here. Look, I was going to have third pick, and I could have taken Tapu Koko, which is what I think I should have taken, instead of Cade taking Tapu Koko. I would have been completely free of it, because I knew Austin wanted Victini first pick, and I sort of had a hunch that Daniel was going to take Zeraora. It was honestly kind of a weak first round looking at it. Excuse me. Just based on what was available, I didn't really feel like there was a whole lot of stuff that went early on that was great. Super early Sylveon pick, really early Sylveon pick. Ferrothorn would have fit much better on the team, and unfortunately I didn't go with it. And yeah, that's the draft board. Transaction-wise, there was a ton of transactions made, but we'll just find ours here. I think I made it in week 3. Here we go. I dropped a barrel for Stunfisk, and Stunfisk came to a couple matches, didn't really do much. It was nice having an electric immunity, which I didn't have before, so it was a big oversight on my part not drafting very well. I feel like I didn't draft very well. I actually didn't like my team very much by the end of the season. And then later on, I used my second transaction to drop Sylveon for Nihilego, which was way too late. I should have taken Nihilego ages ago rather than week 8. Nihilego was a monster on the team. It was absolutely huge in my victories and everything to do with that this season. At the end of the season, picking up a rock and a poison type, 2 typings that I didn't have previously, and a T-Spikes absorber was massive because my team was super weak to T-Spikes, and I think that sort of like pushed people away from that sort of thing. So that is what's going on with the transactions. Next up, I wanted to talk about the standings. So standings, here we go. We did end up finishing first, actually, in the entire league. So we finished second in the entire league last season, and then we ended the season first in the entire league, 9-3 plus 23. We were by far the favorites to win the whole thing, and that showed in the pick'ems. If you guys haven't checked out the pick'ems, feel free to check out the NCL YouTube channel. Not sure if I'll remember to put it in the description, but that's where the pick'ems are. I hate that I yawn when I talk too much. Yeah, so we were by far the favorites to win the whole thing. I think there were like 9 out of 14, or maybe like 11 out of 14 people picked us to win the whole thing. And I did feel like we had a very strong shot of doing it. We had definitely a hard side of the bracket. Yeah, maybe we'll just touch on playoffs now. I was going to do it later, but maybe we'll touch on it now. So what ended up happening is Austin upset on the other side of the bracket and pulled his way all the way to the championship. So I'm really proud of Austin. He pulled out a big win over Ben there. And then we ended up defeating Daniel, which everyone got right on their pick'ems. And then we lost to Ben because of Draft Frontier's broken crit mechanic. I'm going to blame it on that, but we did lose because of a crit, 100%. Our Kommo-o was set up to +2, and Crocodile crit me with an Earthquake and killed me. Otherwise, Kommo-o would have absolutely just obliterated that game, and it would have been a clean 6-0 for me. I have no doubt in my mind about that. We ran through a ton of different scenarios, theory-modding how that game could have gone, and we both agreed that that crit was huge in determining who was going to win that game. There was another area of play where if I had just clicked Power Gem on the Gengar again, and caught his Mega Scizor switching in, I would have opened up a lot of different areas for Alolan Ninetales to come back in and be able to do stuff, because Mega Scizor would have been dead. And then, yeah, I just feel like I would have been in a better position to beat his team with Mega Scizor dead, because Alolan Ninetales could have come back in for free. So that's what the playoff bracket looked like. So I guess we'll sort of touch on the prep doc now. And if you guys haven't seen a season recap from me before, this is what my prep doc looks like. I do this for every single league, with no exceptions. Every small league that I do, every big league that I do, it doesn't matter. I have a prep doc to help me organize my thoughts and organize what the teams are and speed creeping and things like that. So obviously I have both of the teams on here with all of their base speeds and their max speeds for neutral nature. 299 is like modest max speed Mew. 328 is timid max speed Mew. For both sides with obviously their rosters. Green means they brought it. Yellow means I thought they might bring it. Orange means I was not expecting it to come. I list their priority users just in order of how it goes down like that. Their hazard setters, their removers. Matt in particular had a lot of removers, as you can see. They're 4 times weaknesses. And then sometimes if I need to speed creep over a Scarfer or like a setup sweeper, then I will list their speed that they hit based on what I'm expecting it to be. And then I list what I'm speed creeping with. So like Melodic, I was running enough speed to head speed Florges, which probably isn't a lot. I might have just been running a little bit of speed to make sure that was happening. Mew, I probably barely had to run any. I don't know why I was expecting max speed Florges. That seems weird that I would have expected that. Ninetales outspeeds Mega Shark, no boost, so 339, so you know that I was running 340, etc., etc. I have the week where the match was played and when we had scheduled for. So we're just going to go through all of these now in order, and I'll bring up the team as well while I have it, because I have all of the teams pulled up. So particularly with Matt, I brought like a specially defensive Rotom-Heat to be able to check the Volcarona. I think that was a big thing, was checking the Volcarona on the Latios. I brought in a Guavaberry Mew, which was interesting. I don't necessarily see why I did that. Was I actually? I was speed creeping max speed Florges. That's weird. Rocks were really big against his team, despite all the removal for the Volcarona in particular, and the Regice, which he did bring. Flamethrower allowed me to hit the Skarmory, and the Decidueye, of course, and then Psychic sort of like blew through a lot of his team, and U-turn just for momentum. I brought a Frustration sub-SD Mega Pinsir, which I believe didn't even have to hit the field, or maybe it like picked up a kill and died. I can't remember exactly what happened. Icy Rock, Alolan Ninetales with Veil, Moonblast, Blizzard, and Toxic. I mean, this sort of like put in a lot of work. And Alolan Sandslash definitely didn't have to do much that game, but it could have swept. I ended up bringing competitive Melodic for like Moonblast drops because I didn't feel like Marvel Scale was going to be worthwhile against all of his special attackers. And competitive Melodic got like 3 kills that game or something stupid, 3 or 4 kills, because he got a defense drop with the Mega Sharpedo with Crunch, which gave me the competitive boost. That was hilarious, honestly. That was just really funny. And Melodic ended up sweeping, kind of swept, which was very interesting. Week 2 we played Daniel, 6-0'd Daniel with this squad here. Physically defensive Melodic. I brought a Leaf Storm, Leech Seed, Glare, Serp to slow down some of the mons on his team. Glare obviously puts in a lot of work for me against things like Zygarde if it tries to set up. Scolipede was a problem. He ended up bringing Simisear, which I did not like as a bring against my team. I really did feel like Zygarde was probably a little bit better, or maybe like Scolipede, but oh well. Kommo-o, I brought like a weird defensive Kommo-o that could set rocks and just hit things hard. I brought Frustration Mega Pinsir because he had Ditto, and there was no way Ditto wasn't coming against my full setup team. Choice Scarf Ninetales, which put in the work, and I had a Rock Polish Life Orb, 3 attacks Mew that I don't even think had to hit the field. I can't even remember what got the kills. I think it was Melodic again, but we did end up 6-0ing Daniel. Week 3 we took on Jay, and this was a little bit closer of a game, but Jay's matchup looked pretty horrible on paper. I prepped really hard for Gothitelle, tons of different ways to get out on Gothitelle, tons of different ways to get on the Gothitelle, things like Baton Pass Sylveon, things like Dragon Tail Melodic, Superior could just boost on it, so I wasn't super scared there. Mega Pinsir can just knock off and like return it to death. I brought Volt Switch on the Rotom, and then I figured I would just set up with Ghost EMZ Mew and crush it. I think Mew did get the Ghost EMZ off. I can't remember against what, though. Clefable was still a problem, but I did have a lot of tricks up my sleeve. He ended up just sacking Mega Camera up turn 1 to my Melodic Scald. So Melodic, again, proving that it was pretty decent. Sylveon came. Did it come to any of the other games? No, so this is Sylveon's first game. Then Sylveon's second game was against Ben here. In week 4, we ended up losing this game. It was Battle of the Undefeated with like massive differentials, and I did feel like I maybe stood a chance, but I probably didn't against Ben's team if we're being real. This matchup was definitely a lot worse than I had anticipated, and I got fully paralyzed on Sylveon, which sucked a little bit, but it didn't really end up mattering because it would have just been chip on the Gengar, which would have let me quick attack it with Pinsir. I didn't prep well for the Zapdos, and Zapdos was an issue, and I didn't prep well for Crocodile, which I didn't actually expect to come, but it did end up showing up to Pursuit Trap my Mew. Specs Ninetales put in a lot of work, and I wasn't aggressive enough with it, and I ended up HP firing like one turn too late on the Mega Scizor, so it didn't end up doing a lot of work, and physically defensive Rotom got toxic and got worn down. I switched from Sylveon into Stunfisk to scout for an Iron Head and got bought by Z Freeze Shock, so that kind of sucked. Week 5, we took on Austin and the Atlantis Raptors. I felt like I had a really good matchup, and we ended up smashing him pretty hard. I'm just going to check the schedule here and see how badly we beat him. 3-0. Okay, so it didn't really feel like it was a 3-0 to me on paper or after the fact, because it did feel like I kind of just crushed him. Dragonance Kommo-o put in a lot of breaking work. I think he got like 3 kills just really early on, and then Alolan Sandslash might have been able to clean. I can't exactly remember what it was there. My Victini answer was like Rocky Helmet Mew, which to be fair was kind of a shit Victini answer, if I'm being honest, but it ended up doing a lot for me. Just getting a chip on the Victini was huge, and boosting with Superior. I actually can't exactly remember what happened to this game. Maybe Mega Pinsir got some kills. I can't remember anymore. Week 6 we took on. Who did we take on week 6? We took on Nacho, and this was a good matchup in my favor, I think, despite the fact that his team was so good on, like, I felt that his team was really good on paper, and then I also felt that I had a good matchup overall against him. And we brought another light clay Alolan Ninetales. You notice Alolan Ninetales is coming to a lot of these games. Melodic put in a lot of work, specifically against the Garchomp. I want to say it was the Garchomp and the Buzzwole. Couldn't really break through it. I think Stunfisk actually did something, like maybe set up rocks against his team. Can't exactly remember anymore. Rotom-Heat, that was another Garchomp check. AV Superior, second time I brought that. Excuse me, but I teched on the knockoff for the Chandelure, because I thought Chandelure was like his best Superior switch in, which I believe it was. And then I brought Rock Polish Mew with Psychium Z. I think got a kill maybe. I can't exactly remember. Week 7, we played Phil and the Wiltshire Wartortles. 100% I lost this game because of a Thunderfang flinch. I truly believe that I should have won this game, but he flinched me with the Thunderfang on my Melodic at the end of the game, where Melodic would have just been able to stall out the Mega Aerodactyl and kill it slowly but surely, and then he had like Bronzong in the back or something like super weakened that wasn't touching my team was still left, and I still had like Melodic plus Mew, I want to say. Melodic plus Mew, I think. Unfortunately, this Sylveon set looked really good to me on paper, and the Nidoqueen Bronzong kind of shut it down. I wasn't expecting both of them to come, and I thought that this could easily set up on the Umbreon, which I did think was going to come. I really did think Umbreon was going to come, but maybe he thought that it was setup bait for the Kommo-o. I ended up using Bronzong as setup bait for the Kommo-o, and Kommo-o sort of like plowed through a lot of his team. But I just couldn't make it work. The one time Alolan Raticate did anything is I ran this Thick Fat Assault Vest set. It ate hits for days from the Blacephalon. I was not expecting Blacephalon to come, but it did, and I Pursuit Trapped it, killed it, which I was really proud of. Good for you, Alolan Raticate. It's basically the only thing you could do. Yeah, I don't know. Kind of a bad matchup on paper, but I knew that I was playing Phil in Week 12, and I anticipated we might be playoff opponents round 1, so I wasn't trying my absolute hardest to prep for this game. Week 8, we took on Magic in the Snow Point City Blizzard. Magic has a horrible team, and I abused it a little bit. Where are we here? I 5-0'd him, so this was a pretty big matchup. I needed to get as much differential out of this as I could because he was bottom of the table. Assault Vest competitive Melodic. I want to say it worked. He brought the Lando, and I got the competitive boosts again. So I think I seem to remember Melodic having the opportunity to actually get all 6 kills, and I only got 3 or 4 maybe. I think Alolan Knight, or maybe it was Rotom picked up a couple. Mew was like a utility set because he had Klefki, because I was expecting to use like Heal Bell for Thunder Waves and things, and Toxics and things like that. I can't remember what got the kill on his team. Quillfish maybe? Ludicolo maybe? I can't remember exactly, but That was a nifty matchup. Scarf Superior still outsped things like Ludicolo and Rain. I think I outsped like Kingdra and Rain still. Can't remember though. Did he even bring Kingdra? No, he didn't bring Kingdra. I wasn't expecting Kingdra because of Alolan's Ninetales. That's what it was. Because Ninetales, like, it was the battle of Hail versus Rain, right? And he had no freeze dry switch-ins besides Mega Aggron and Klefki. So I felt like Ninetales had a really good matchup, which is why I brought Specs again. Then we played Cade, or we were supposed to play Cade, and he actually forfeit to me because he didn't need to battle me. He ended up clinching his division right away with like 4 weeks left, so he just forfeit. We brought a team of... I never posted this team builder, so this is the one and only time you guys will see this, but like a physically defensive Stunfisk for the Hawlucha. That was the main answer. My main answer to Hawlucha, and it could kind of check the Scizor too. Black Sledge and Heligo with T-Spikes, which I thought was kind of cool. I brought like a Spadef variant, so I was going to get Spadef Beast Boost. It was my best way to handle Coco. And potentially the Delphox as well. It was kind of my check to both of those. Scarf Rotom, and I was going to trick this Scarf onto the Porygon, which I thought was going to be his best Rotomancer. Or the Palossand, which I thought was his other Rotomancer. Sub-SD Mega Pinsir, I thought could have put in work against him as well. I mean, obviously Quick Attack was doing a lot to the Hawlucha, was doing a lot to the Mega Sceptile. Like, he really didn't have the best Mega Pinsir answers on his team, and I could just set up on things like the Avalugg, so that Avalanche wasn't doing a whole lot. Scarf Ninetales was like my best way to check the Mega Sceptile, realistically, and it also put in a lot of work, potentially. And then Psyche MZ Mew would have put in a lot of work against him. He really didn't have the best answers to it. You're looking at like Delphox Weavile as his answers to Mew. And I had the Flamethrower there for the Weavile. We actually spent my front office and I spent a lot of time prepping for this. And I initially had like Vacuum Wave Mew on this set, and I thought that was going to be pretty cool tech. Week 10, we pulled a win off on Dom. I kind of choked a little bit, and I could have won this game 5-0, but we pulled out the 2-0 win with a speed boosting the Hiligo that ended up cleaning up the game for us. Kartana got burnt by a Scald from Melodic, and then Melodic was able to live hits. I set up Dragonance on his switch into Cresselia, and then I was expecting a Moonblast from the Cresselia, so I was just going to dent it. But he ended up having Psychic, I think, which I lived. So had I Dragonanced again on the Kommo-o, then Z-moved the Cresselia, Kommo-o would have just been able to clean sweep through his team with the Drain Punch, Dragon Claw, Poison Jab combo. It would have absolutely obliterated him, because I had Suicune weakened, which I thought was the biggest... Suicune and Cresselia I thought were the biggest stops to my Kommo-o, because Rabambi wasn't going to be able to take a Poison Jab, neither was Bulu. Like, both of his fairies were weak to the poison there. Mega Charizard X was not going to be faster. Lanoon, Extreme Speed would not have picked me off from that range. Kartana is not going to outspeed me. Greninja is not going to outspeed me. Gligar didn't come. And Electro didn't come, which was the other thing that might have outsped me at +2. So, yeah, that was an interesting game. I ended up running like max speed to speed tie with the max speed Suicune, because that's a common set, and he had 3 base 85s to speed tie Kommo-o. So that was very interesting there. Like Clay, Ninetales, I believe I got a Veil up at some point. I can't remember exactly, though. Whirlwind Mew didn't put in as much work as I thought, and I actually couldn't run Shiny Mew because I had to run Whirlwind to get rid of the Charizard from setting up on me. I really couldn't have that thing setting up. I think it just bopped the Mew at some point. Pardon me. Week 11, we took on Jed in the Adelaide Overheat. Jed did not have a very good matchup, in my opinion. I just really didn't think that it was going to be that good for him. Mega Beedrill had a good matchup, but then I brought Mega Pinsir to quick attack it. Where's my team? My team here. I brought Mega Pinsir to quick attack it. Alolan Sandslash ended up picking up quite a few kills that game, and despite the Rotom Wash, I really felt like Alolan Sandslash had a fantastic matchup, and it was probably the best matchup it had, except for the Rotom Wash. And that was sort of the intent with this team, was just bring a bulky Rotom to check the Jirachi, because Ironhead's doing like 6 to bulky Rotom-Heat, because I have 4 times resistant Steel, which obviously my team was kind of weak to Steel the entire season. I brought Shadow Ball, Toxic Mew to be able to outspeed the Gourgeist to get a Toxic on it, and then Shadow Ball it to break its sub. Shadow Ball was just good coverage all around, because the Alolan Persian didn't come. Icy Rock Ninetales to help out Sandslash Sweep, and then I had Life Orb speed boosting the Hiligo, which actually I was shocked because he baited me. He bluffed the Scarf on the Jirachi really well, and I ended up killing it with a foul play that I was not expecting to kill it with. I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm just sacking the Hiligo to this Jirachi now. And I think I ended up like killing Nidoking first, and then I killed Jirachi? I can't remember now. Yeah, sorry, I can't remember now, but that was a good game. Week 12, we were clinched into our #1 seed in the league, so I just memed it up against Phil here. We brought some wild, crazy stuff. And he ended up bringing the Tauros, which he didn't really meme with. I mean, he didn't really meme that hard against me. I think he was trying to go for kills with Conkeldurr still. So he was bringing a very supportive team for the Conkeldurr and didn't even bother bringing Mega Arrow. The Blacephalon didn't come because I pursuit trapped him last time. But I brought like Expert Build Stunfisk, I brought Black Glasses, Alolan Raticate, I brought like this Iron Defense Mew, which actually could have put in some work against his team considering Blacephalon and Manaphy, neither of them came. He really did not have a good special attacker to be able to break through my Mew, but he brought Toxic Bronzong, which was a pain in the ass. If I had something else, then maybe I could have handled it, but the Iron Defense Mew was meant to take on the Conkeldurr, and he brought like Z Bulk Up Conkeldurr, which was a problem. It was a big problem. I think I ended up catching it with something. I killed it for sure, didn't I? Or maybe he just like swept me with it. I can't remember anymore, but I brought Fly Z Superior for it. I brought Physical Fly Z Superior because Fly Z Aerial Ace killed Conkeldurr after a tiny bit of chip. It also dealt with the Whimsicott, which otherwise I had kind of a hard time dealing with. Whimsicott was most certainly not a meme, and it like blew through me. I felt like this Coil Melodic was going to do work, and it, actually in my mind, I had Scarf or Specs Melodic in this matchup, but at the time I was really feeling like I was going to play Phil in the first round of quarterfinals, so I didn't want to reveal my best set, which in my mind was actually like a Scarf Melodic, to be able to revenge kill Mega Aerodactyl perfectly, but Scarf Melodic actually cannot outspeed max speed Mega Aerodactyl, so it wouldn't have mattered anyways, I don't think. And I brought like a very similar Ninetales set, just with Veil to help like Raticate, Mew, and Superior setup, and Melodic obviously, because I was running Coil, Aqua Tail with Refresh and Recover. First round of playoffs, we played Daniel, and I felt like I had a really good matchup here. It ended up working out really well, and Mega Pinsir finally had its time to shine. It picked up like 5 kills against him because he quite literally did not have a Mega Pinsir switch in. I managed to get up Veil with Ninetales, and Superior was the only thing that died. I thought the HP Ghost tech was really good this matchup to be able to deal with the Metagross and the Xatu, which I felt would switch in on Superior, and it was good tech for the Mimikyu if he wanted to try and set up Mimikyu in front of my face. I brought the same sort of similar defensive Kommo-o against him. My initial plan was just to sweep with Mew, and this Mew set had no answers to it on his entire team. Because he didn't bring Metagross or Xatu, he had no Psychic Resist, and I could have just led Mew, Rock Polish, Nasty Plotted, and Psychicked his entire team to death. It was a fantastic build that I'm sad didn't get to see the light of day. It didn't even have to come out at all. My Melodic ended up being able to check the Scolipede really well and the Mega Swampert. He misplayed hard with the Mega Swampert and it did nothing against my team. It Brick Breaked me for like 7 when I had stayed in with Mega Pinsir to kill it because I knew behind Veil that I could live a rock move from it. So I ended up just like clicking Frustration, and he Brick Breaked my Veil when it only had 1 turn left, so it was a waste of a turn, unfortunately for him. And we did pull out a big win. And then in our semifinals match against Ben, we'll just run through this one really quickly here. We did a lot of Theory Modding after the game, a lot of Theory Modding, and we did determine that my Dragon Dance Kommo-o, having Dragon Dance twice, it would have swept him. Based on what he had, his Zapdos was taking Rock's Chip, which is what I needed for Dragonium Z to kill it at +1. But I needed +2 to outspeed the Scarf Gengar, and I picked up on the fact that it was Scarf Gengar very early because he didn't bring Emboar like he did last time, and I'm just going to adjust my chair, sorry about that. But he brought Scarf Emboar against me last time, and I was really scared of a Scarfer against my team again. And I saw Sub Kyurem, so I wasn't expecting that to necessarily be like as big of a threat. Scizor was just free health with Drain Punch, and at +2, Adamant Thunder Punch was killing Primarina from where it was at. So I was setting up on the Crocodile, which refused to switch out on me. I was expecting him to switch out on me with the Crocodile and then switch back in to get the Intimidate, which he didn't do ever. He never did that. He just stayed in with Crocodile and kept clicking Earthquake because he was Choppleberry. But we determined at +2 the Drain Punch would have killed him through the Choppleberry, given me a ton of health back, and from there he had no way to revenge kill me. I would have been able to clean sweep through his team with the Kommo-o, and yeah, it was just quite unfortunate that he managed to crit me because I think that was my trip to the finals was just this Kommo-o set, really. Sash Ninetales was a cool idea that ended up getting broken by the rocks. Mega Pinsir looked good on paper, but I ended up having to sack it to break a sub, and I misplayed with that as well. I ended up Mega Evolving and clicking return to break the sub, but what I should have done was stayed in regular form, close combated to break the sub, then Mega Evolved, and I could have clicked Stone Edge. I think probably would have been my best play to catch the Zapdos switching in, or close combat again to just like kill the Kyurem. Scarf Rotom was actually a really bad idea, and I was planning on tricking the Scarf onto like Licky Licky or the Kecleon or the Zapdos, and really realistically I didn't want to give anything a Scarf, so I should have had choice banned on it and just like click Trick on the first thing that I saw. But can't do much there. Mew was an okay set. It was definitely better than this weird Scarf set that I brought the first time. And then Babiri Berry and Nihilego actually picked up the 2 kills that I got this game. Nihilego was just absolutely insane on this team, and it should have been on the team from the start, honestly. Veil with a Beast Booster is just so much better than Veil with a ton of like Swords Dance users. And if I was to draft Veil offense again, I would 100% use Veil plus Beast Boost over what I had instead. So that is the teams, and that's sort of how my prep went. I want to give a big congrats to Austin for winning the finals. I do think that he played out of his mind in that finals game, and he was really the true Cinderella story of Season 2. While I do feel like if I beat Ben, I had a really good shot against... Sorry, if I beat Ben, I think I had a really good shot at actually winning the title this season, and so I'm a little bit miffed that we ended up getting crit in that game. But I can't really do anything about it, and so I have to just move on with life and take the punches as they come. So the last part of this video, I'm going to be touching on my all-time kill leaders with my roster from this league. But Barrel's not going to be on here because it didn't show up to any games, so there's no reason for me to track stats from one that didn't show up to any games. But we'll start with Sylveon. Sylveon came to, what, like 3 games? I think it came to 3. Came to week 3, week 4, and week 7. And it did pretty much nothing. I'm not going to lie. I've used Sylveon quite a few times. As you can see, I've had it in 4 different leagues. It's actually a fairly consistent performer. Brought to 26 games. Like, that's a lot of games to bring him onto. It's up there for sure in my games. It might actually be my most games played on my entire list is 26. Yep, more than Celesteela. Now, I'm actually intending on putting my GBA fan draft stats in here, which will push Celesteela up, because I think that was an important enough tournament for me that I should be tracking the stats. Oh, sorry, it's second. I didn't have Mimikyu. I didn't have Mimikyu on the thing. So Mimikyu, 33 games, that's the most, but yeah, so Sylveon came to like 3 games. Didn't really come to that many this season, but I've used it like really well in the past. And yeah, consistent performer, but it did nothing on the team. Alolan Ninetales came to a lot of games. It came to a lot of games, dude. Actually, we can check that out. We'll just go over to my team page and see how many it came to. Alolan Ninetales came to 10 of my 11 games played. So there was 1 matchup where it didn't come to, and I'm curious as to what that one was. Week 3 against Jay was the only matchup that Alolan Ninetales didn't come to, because I didn't feel like I was going to be able to get up Veil. So Alolan Ninetales was pretty much the star of this team. Like Alolan Ninetales and Mew ended up showing... I mean, Mew came to every single game because it was my round 1 pick, and it was so versatile that it comes to every game, right? But Alolan Ninetales and Mew were really the stars of the team. It didn't have the best stat line, per se. It was only 6-6 in the regular season, and it kind of just like died in playoffs a few times. Maybe got a kill against Daniel, but it ended up putting in a lot of work for me. Superior had a fairly tame stat line. I mean, it sort of goes even with me, but it came to a few games. Serp came like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, 8 times out of, what is that? 11 plus, out of 13 games. Like that's kind of decent. Bulky Grass. I mean, it put in decent pressure just as a booster. So that was fun. Mew, I mean, Mew got a lot of kills. It got like a 9 kills for me. 9 kills, 6 deaths. I mean, it was a good mon. I would definitely draft Mew again. Probably not for a while though. I don't like the versatility all the time, and so I probably wouldn't take it for a while. What's next? Rotom-Heat. I mean, Rotom-Heat, I haven't actually gotten that many kills with it overall, but I did draft it like a lot recently. So despite it only saying it's been in 2 leagues, I actually have it in 2 more leagues right now. So yeah, you know, it's got the stat line there. Melodic was absolutely the MVP of this team. It ended up winning defensive MVP. It got 14 kills, 3 deaths in the regular season, and then I think it just died once in playoffs. It was like it went like 14-4 the entire season, which was pretty crazy to have a +10 differential as a defensive mon. Big fan of Melodic. 100% would draft that again. Mega Pinsir, I wasn't necessarily sold on. The fact that it ended up picking up 5 kills against Daniel really upped its stat line here because it averaged a kill a game after that, but it didn't do the work in the regular season, and we'll see right here. It went 4-4 in the regular season, coming to 7 games. It put pressure on people to bring rock coverage, but unfortunately I didn't have good rock resists in the first place, so yeah, maybe not again. Maybe again, I don't know. Nihilego was a monster, dude. It averaged 2 kills. I brought it to 3 games, okay? I brought it to 3 games. It averaged 2 kills a game. 6 kills in 3 games. That is insane. And it only died twice. One of those was passive. Against who? Where was the passive death? I think it passively died. It got burnt or so. Oh, no, I died to, like, Life Orb recoil against Jed with Nihilego. So, yeah, dude, Nihilego was an absolute beast. 100% I would draft Nihilego again. 100%. Alolan Sandslash didn't come to a lot of games, and it didn't really have the opportunity to sweep. It's kind of a bad... Hail's kind of a bad weather. Like, the only reason I would ever pick Hail again is for Veil. I would never pick Hail again to have a sweeper try and sweep in it. Alolan Sandslash is not a good Pokemon. I took it as a rapid spinner, thinking I would use it as a rapid spinner, but it never got the chance to rapid spin, really. I played like a hyper offense game the entire season, and it just really couldn't, besides my stalling with Melodic, of course, but it really just didn't put in any work whatsoever. Alolan Raticate was a nice meme while I had it, but probably never again. Stunfisk, we'll just skip over Kommo-o for now. Stunfisk was kind of useless. Might work better on a team with other bulky options that people have to prep for, so they can't just like throw an ice move on and just blow back Stunfisk, or with better ground resists. And then Kommo-o went 8-5. I think that it should have been 16-4. 14-4. Kommo-o was a monster. I would 100% draft Kommo-o again. Really good Pokemon. Despite the 4x weakness to Fairy, it does a lot, man. It does a lot, and the fact that it only came to 4 games and got 8 kills in the regular season, man, it put so much pressure on people in prep, and it just like performed in the games, you know? It performed really well as a breaker and as a sweeper. It could have picked off Ben's team, but it didn't. So there you go. That's sort of what ended up happening there. That's pretty much what I wanted to talk about our season. And so maybe I'll just highlight the NCL and sort of the success we had as a league. So I believe that we were a lot more competitive than we were last season. As you can see, people were not sitting there with 1 win. The lowest seeds had 3 wins, which, while it's not the greatest, the highest seed only had 9. So a little bit lower than the 10 that we saw last season as well. I'm really proud of all the coaches and all the effort that everyone put in this season. Season 3 is going to be just as good, if not better. We have 16 coaches for Season 3, so the draft's going to be a little bit more competitive. The league hopefully will be a little bit more competitive, adding 6 new coaches actually, because Nacho and Daniel are not returning for Season 3. Quite unfortunate. I miss both of them. They're both really good friends of mine, and I hope that they want to come back in future seasons. But again, it's not the end of the world that they aren't coming back, because I wanted to expand anyways. So that is going to be it from me, guys. I don't really have much more to talk about in terms of my season and how the season went. I think it was a really good season. I think that I probably should have made it to at least the finals, but, you know, hacks is hacks, right? And I'm not going to blame Ben for that. He beat me fair and square, you know? I've told him this, like, 3 times now, but I really wished him a good game. He definitely had the better team. Regardless of how that game went, he 100% had the better team, and I'm a little bit sad that he didn't win the finals. I love cheering for the underdog, and I'm really glad Austin did, but Ben performed all season really well. We were battling it out for the division title the entire season. Came down to the last week. And I ended up pulling a few awards out from underneath him. Zapdos was second in the running for defensive MVP that I won with Melodic, and he was second in the running for Coach of the Season, which I pulled out from under him, and I ended up taking that award home with me. But you know, Ben's a really cool dude. I know he's good at I know he's a good battler, and I know he's going to come back just as strong, if not stronger, next season. So we'll be looking out for that, and I'll catch you guys for next season.